guys still using Zencaster or just?
No, but you know what? That's a good thing you interrupted me because we're recording right now. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wandavision spoilers review, episode 7. And you know what that means? We're about to break down all this juicy stuff. We got lots of good things going on. Oh boy, what do I say? I want to say some stuff, but I feel like Taylor's already gonna take it, so I'll let him have it. I am Mr. Elizabeth Olsen, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by the man who I think probably would take the name I was gonna take.
I'll roll with it now. You can have it tomorrow. I'm not gonna use it ever again, so it's all yours. I'm the Snooper's gonna snoop Taylor Field.
And other
Uh,
member of the GV3.
I am the modern Kirklin Patzer.
Oh, there you go. And finally,
I am the child on the milk carton, Fanboy Clay.
yeah, when you messaged me, that changed quick. Your Twitter name, I was like, what? And then because I thought there's some subliminal messaging going on, but. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our WandaVision review. Everything you need to know is down below. Taylor, I'm going to skip over the internet plugs because it's late and we got lots to talk about clear with this reveals. But everything you need to know, how to support us on Patreon, how to find us on audio, how to watch the YouTube video like we could do right now and join us in the live chat, all that stuff. If you want to thirst over Jessica in the live chat, you can do that if you want every Wednesday or something. That's what you do. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to talk about WandaVision. We're going to do, as always, our non-spoiler, just overall thoughts, gives you a chance if you haven't seen it. Every once in a while, there's a person, so they tune in, tune out. Haven't seen it, we'll do an ad break, and then we'll get into the meat of the episode because we got a lot of stuff happening, a lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff. And you know what? I'll start. I think this was a stronger episode than last week. We're starting to definitely get answers. We're starting to definitely pivot into, I think, a direction that I think lots of people really want to go. There's some things in this episode. I don't think it was like a perfect episode, but it was a big episode. I think there's some things that what I can say without spoiling is I think there's some big moments that are maybe undercut by maybe humor or just kind of a tonal shift or maybe just kind of a plot element where I don't know if that was needed, but I kind of get why they did it. What else? I think there's some questions that were answered in this episode that some people are going to be mighty disappointed by, and I also feel like that was partially their fault by maybe setting people up for certain things. And I know that happens. You're not supposed to like what you would want happen, like what the story isn't based off of that. But I think there's certain things that they did that maybe went in a certain direction. It reminds me sometimes of Lost would get that criticism of they built this big mystery and then I was like, they don't really answer it. There was really nothing. So I think there was a problem there. But after the overalls, I see people in the live chat. We will answer you. Don't worry. We're just gonna give overalls, then we'll get right into spoilers. Just because I don't want to read out anything like teleprompter like Ron Burgundy and then spoil something in the opening. So I really like the big reveals this episode, but I do have a few cons. But I think this did have a couple like oh shit moments, and I think the last 10 minutes specifically, where I literally was on the edge of my couch. I turned up the TV. I was like, oh shit, here we go. We're starting to do a barrel roll. So Clay, what did you think this week?
Yeah, my non-spoiler thoughts on the episode. It was a great episode, but it was also a non-episode, and it was like it was weird. Like you said, it went into a direction that most people wanted the show to go to, which is 100% awesome. But as far as I think I saw it best immediately after I saw the episode. This shut a lot of doors and it opened a lot more. And it's just like I'm like 50-50 on how I feel about the episode in total.
I think, like, I know we'll get into it. I think this episode, for me, my enjoyment of it, barring a few things, is going to really depend on the next two. As far as I think I'll always like this episode, but it is going to be, okay, this was this was the appetizer, and then let's see what the main course is going to be. If we have two more episodes left, it's like the next episode's the main course, and then the finale is kind of the dessert. And let's see if those two things are good, because we'll see. Kirkland, what are your thoughts on this week's episode?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what you guys said. I like the modern family era type feel they're going
the
for.
aughts.
I felt like the comedy for me was a little bit less though than it had been in like the previous sitcom eras.
Do you think that is like, for me, I just don't really like the comedy of our era. And I think that's it.
I mean, possibly, because I'm not really a big fan of Modern Family, like the show itself.
Yeah.
So like, and this had a lot of like the camera shots and everything and like the way that they would I don't want to spoil anything, but like
Even some of the jokes are very
yeah,
that type of TV, and I feel like the only comedies I watch nowadays are like they are mature. I don't watch network comedies for that
yeah,
reason. I feel like I'm
yeah, I
never
don't
really
really
into them.
watch those.
Yeah.
So I mean that's probably at least some of the reason why I felt that way on the comedy side of things. But overall, I thought it was a really good episode. We're definitely like ramping things up. Like we're getting a lot more into the plot heavy content, which
Hmm.
isn't a bad thing. But I mean, it's kind of sad knowing that we're getting near the end of this show because
Yeah.
I'm just loving it week by week. But overall, no, it was a solid episode, and I'm excited to talk spoilers.
Taylor Field, you're always Mr. Optimistic. So did you absolutely love this episode?
I really, really enjoyed this episode. Yeah.
Mm.
To me, like,
Didn't love.
I love the Modern Family type humor. Again, it's just that kind of humor, the way they set it up and then they execute it. It's just got such a funny tone to it. And again, there was a lot of things with the characters in this episode that I was really enjoying because like a lot of it I feel like is just sometimes like miscommunication that's done in a very humorous way, and they represented that well in this episode, and it really works for me. I really like it. So I'll shout out one specific moment that I got a kick out of when we get into spoilers, but the progression for sure, it definitely got a lot more in depth, a lot more clarity, like a lot more clarity on things from past episodes. But um, yeah, overall, really, really enjoyed it, and it's it I don't know how they do it, but every episode just ends with like that cliffhanger. It just wants you to you just want to like hit play for the next episode and you can't, and it's just making me pull my hair out. But here we
and
are.
you can't. Well, you're gonna have to. But yes, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're about to get into spoilers, so we're gonna throw to our first ad break, and then we'll be right back talking about all these big reveals. So we will be right back. So I don't know. We have lots to cover here. Lots to cover with Monica. Lots to cover with Vision. We got our first post-credit scene. Lots to cover with Wanda. But you know what? We're gonna do here at Geek first and just jump at the very end. But first, I will. And Clay, you already talked to them. But Andrew Duvall said, or Deville said, the most disappointing thing is this wasn't a full hour, like people have been saying. That's the problem. He said, like people have been saying. That's the thing. You don't. There was this thing going around like, oh, it's gonna be an hour long, and Kevin Feige's name was under it, but he never said that. He talked about potential lengths of the show, but I think that the rest of the episodes will pretty much be this, maybe a little longer. So I would say, unless you can find an interview and it's full on Feige saying something, never take it. Like Feige has gone record and said that Falcon Winter Soldier is 6 hours because each episode is like kind of an hour. I don't even know if he means that. Is it actual hours or like TV hour? It's like, yeah, it's this, and then the credits are 7 minutes. I don't know, but I wouldn't worry about run times yet. For me, I don't know if it was like the length of this episode that was my problem, because I think they packed a lot of stuff in there. I just think that I'm excited for the next two episodes to seemingly be we're done with the sitcoms. I would feel right. Like I just feel like this was a no turn back point. Like it's like when you right before you go fight a final boss in a video game, you save and it's like you can't go back that past that point. You got all your health packs, everything. So I feel like it would be odd for it to go back to a sitcom. I don't think it would play with the ending. So that's where I guess the Modern Family stuff it worked. I liked a lot of things they did with Wanda, but I did feel a lot of times she was just kind of sitting around the house doing little things and kind of like, okay, I got the point. But so we finally get this reveal. We'll talk about all of it, but Wanda's having a tough time. Agnes takes the kids, everything like that, and we'll talk about the interactions with the kids and Agnes, but anything like that. So at the end point, Monica comes in and she's trying to snap Wanda out of it, talk her down, everything like that. Agnes brushes her away, saying, hey, she's been through a lot, blah, blah, blah. Just come on over. Wanda sits down in the house, and this is where this was some of my favorite stuff of the series so far, because when they want to get creepy, they do such a good job. And when she just sees like the sandwiches eaten, and then there's just like kids program, there's a fly on the wall, there's the rabbit, Mr. Scratchy or whatever, and then she starts to go down. And the second she went down the basement, and there was just that fucking tree growing on the wall, it's like, oh man, this is feeling like Hereditary. And then she goes down this aisle or whatever hallway, and it starts to go into a cave, and there's roots, and it's purple, and it's creepy and everything like that, and the ratio starts to switch and everything like that, and then we get the full on hello, let me introduce myself, I'm Agnes, or I'm Agatha Harkness. So it's everything's kind of confirmed as far as people's suspicions of what she's doing, everything like that. I will bring up a con I have with the scene after, but what do you guys feel about the Agatha reveal? And also, Kirkland, how do you feel? Because I feel we always were like, even if she is Agatha, is she here to help Wanda or is she against her?
Yeah.
I feel, and this happens every week, we have theories, and then maybe the next week they're wrong. But I feel like just what they're showing in this scene, because they also show like she was behind everything. To me, it is a I think against her situation and
Yeah.
not a for her situation.
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly in that field right now. Just like everything that they showed us of like her doing it all behind the scenes. It was kind of her doing everything like with Pietro and all that stuff. Like, seems pretty sinister to like just fuck with Wanda that way. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I so that's what I was feeling. But yeah, as for the like the big reveal moment, I I I don't know because it felt like a simple like explanation for who she was. I felt like I was still wanting to dig more into like the Mephisto route. Like maybe she was more tied to that guy, especially when she first went to, um, yeah, when she goes into the living room and then she sees the fly, my mind just went to like Lord of the Flies and like all of these like Satan like references. I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be, and then like, oh, the kids are in the basement. Like there's all these like hell references. That's where
Yeah.
I was going. And then as soon as I went to Agatha, I don't know, I felt a little let down, honestly.
You
I
walked
don't
out
know.
of your house, just done.
Yeah, I
I'm
haven't
not
seen the rest
watching
of the
that show.
episode. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Well,
but yeah.
yeah, like I like I like and I don't like the real because like I like her being, I don't know, I the line of "Hi, I'm Agatha Harkness," I don't like. I don't know how I feel about that yet. That just feels, sometimes there's good comic booky, and that just felt too like this is the way we're gonna do it. And also, I was gonna save it, but what I didn't like was the cut to the Agatha Harkness show, and they show. I like them giving us all the context, showing that. I did not like that it was almost in a comedic type of way, because it just felt to me like, I remember somebody recently, I saw with somebody, there was like a tweet and someone was saying that when they did the Pietro reveal and Darcy saying, oh, they recast him, that like killed the tension for them. That didn't for me in that scene. In this scene, the show, I almost think that should have like maybe started off next week's episode, but at the same point, I wanted these answers. I just felt like it was super dramatic. The ratio switch, the score gets scary. Everything feels like we're in real world MCU, and the stakes are Wanda looks scared, and that's not good for Wanda looks scared because how powerful she is. And then to cut to like the very funny kind of montage, it didn't work for me necessarily. So I kind of agree with you as far as there was a relief of like, oh, good, we know who she is officially now, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not a red herring. But I did feel like a little underwhelmed of like, did they do this the best way?
Yeah.
I don't know. Clay, how did you take it? How, the whole reveal and everything like that?
The reveal was too much on the nose. And I understand that majority of us know, comic books and the Marvel universe and all of that. And I feel like that reveal was very much like general audience. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I am this person. And then, okay, the general audience would be, okay, well, who is that person? And then we're going to learn more about that, in the next episode. I will say, I think just because I know that Agatha Harkness in the comics has been both good and bad,
Mm-hmm.
I think she is out for number one, which is her. So whatever is going to get her either more powerful, to learn more magic or whatnot, because I still think, and I know we'll get more into the theories and everything else. I think now knowing that she is Agatha and not Mephisto, like everybody, those were the two hands that were in the bunch. I think
Mm-hmm.
she's working with Mephisto to learn more about whatever she needs to learn, and that's it. Like, she may have, signed, a deal with the devil or whatever, but it's for her own reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Taylor, how did you take that reveal?
Um, Again, I quite enjoyed it. I like seeing her spin-off show and the behind the scenes and everything like that. Now, I am inclined. I got a hair in my mouth. Ugh. I am inclined to.
Well, folks, thanks for joining.
I am inclined to say that I'm with Clay in the fact that I think she is most likely working with Mephisto. A part of me thinks that if they wanted to go this way, that for all we know she could be dead, like in the comics how they find her and she was already dead in that one series that we're reading right now, right? And
House of M and everything.
House of
Yeah.
M, yeah. So like she could be dead, and again, it's just from what I learned with House of M, it's so many like left turns where the heroes think it's one thing, and then it's totally something else, completely different. And again, they did such a build up and emphasis on the fact that this is Agatha Harkness, that I feel like there still could be someone bigger and badder pulling the strings. I don't feel like I don't get the sense at all that Agatha Harkness is a Doctor Strange level threat by any means. So I feel like that there'll be something bigger and better that'll really call his attention. Again, could be WandaVision, sure, but I feel like it'll be something of a more demonic force. And again, on top of that, I feel like you have obviously the whole Pietro thing, which we'll get into, but I feel as if there's still so much insinuating to Mephisto, where you have like that wallpaper thing that you could see, and you have again the stork reference in this again that she couldn't control, which again could have been Agatha, but you have so many of these small little things that nod to the devil. And I get it, the witches of Salem and stuff. That's very Halloweeny, like devil-like and stuff. So it works,
Halloweeny.
Halloweeny. It works for that too. But at the end of the day, I'm not sold that Mephisto's out of this. I think he's in it.
I would agree. And Brandon Spence, who asked, was that engineer supposed to be the Asian lady? We will get into the engineer reveal and everything. Don't worry. We're gonna work our way down. Because I agree that I think there again so Agatha is not a red herring, but I think in the sense of her being the ultimate threat is a red herring. I think this episode ends and the general audience goes, oh, okay, this is the bad guy. This is the person who's been doing it the whole time. Because even this is like whatever what was the title of her show? It was like Agatha's behind it all or whatever it was. Like it was literally
Agatha
just saying like
all along.
yeah, Agatha all along, right? So it's supposed to be the like usual suspects, like this is who it is.
Mhm.
But the thing is, maybe it's just nobody, but like we haven't met Ralph, and we always talk about this, and we're going to talk about him next. This is 2 weeks in a row that, technically 3 weeks, but still, she does not share any screen time with Pietro, Evan Peters, whatever the hell he is, and we don't know that dynamic, and it's tough because. So we got our first post-credit scene this week. The WandaVision showrunner Jack Schaefer, she said post-credit scenes in an interview once. So it was like, oh, so it's plural, and we thought, oh, maybe she just misspoke. We talked about the Marvel Alliance, and then obviously there's this, and I think the last episode will definitely have one. So we got our first one, and it's so Wanda's in the basement. The Agatha reveal happens. It's closed off, and then you get. Monica, which we'll talk more about too, trying to break in. She finds the basement very easily, but she finds the basement. And then we have M. Peters looking very nonchalant at Took saying Snooper's going to snoop. Now, the thing is, like, you could read that two ways as far as like he is working with her and he is an evil entity, or he is Mephisto and it's like he caught Monica in that situation, or is it he is on the good guy's side and he's also looking for his sister? That's a weird thing to fucking say in that moment, but still, like, they haven't fully played their hand yet, because I know Fracture
You hate to see it. Oh, he's back.
Oh, am I back? Did I go away?
You went away.
Oh, anyways, I was saying, like, Fracture Wolf said, like, all this might mean like it's Pietro from the X-Men Fox films, and I just can't get on that bandwagon yet. And we're gonna talk about the secret cameo too, because Paul Bettany said some things today, or yeah, I guess on Good Morning America, and we didn't get that reveal yet. But like, I just feel like that's an evil snooper is gonna snoop. I don't feel like that is he is, because then what my problem is, where was he the whole episode? If he was the good brother, and maybe sure they can write it off, but if he was the good brother, if he meant well, he would try to be like apologize to one or try and figure something out. I don't know. But then we also had that moment of her, and this is what I want to get your guys' opinion on the Pietro thing, but I also want to get your opinion on when we get the Agatha show and she shows that scene of Pietro's back and she's doing the magic.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? Is he literally just like a random disciple? That's where I think some people, maybe Fracture Wolf, you can say, answer me. This is maybe that's where some people think, oh, he is the good guy Quicksilver, because it looks like he's under a spell, but like that could be anything. But like, what do you think, Kirkland, as far as Pietro? We only saw him the one time this scene.
Yeah. Well, like, my thought on, I guess I would ask the question, like, does Agatha have a history of like hexing people like Scarlet Witch can do? like what we've seen from Wanda, or not so much?
I would think so, in the fact of like they have like, I don't think she's as powerful as Wanda, but I think they have like a similar move set, and I
Yeah.
feel like the
Well, it
way
looked
they're
like she
giving
took over her right at the
Yeah,
end
well,
there.
that's what I was gonna ask. Like right at the end, it looked like she
yeah
was doing something to Wanda there, and then
So
when
I took
like you,
that as more of like the same thing that Wanda did to Tony in Age of Ultron to see the future. Agatha did the
mm,
same thing to Wanda to basically show her behind the scenes. Like that's
oh,
what that
okay,
was.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
Mm,
I could
I
buy that. Yeah, but even then, she's still like,
to
they show her
Pietro.
with the purple Pietro, but also like with Herb. Like they show her with the purple version. It's almost like Scarlet Witch has the red power. She has the purple. So I feel like she can hex and do those things too, like take over people or
Well,
like untake over people.
that's what I figured she was doing to Pietro when like I assumed that she had just hexed him, and then now he's kind of her lackey, to for lack of a better word, and then maybe that's why like he's looking out for her, kind of like being a bodyguard to that house. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was my feeling on it, that she was doing some sort of hexing, but like if Pietro's not hexed, I don't know what he is. Honestly, I don't know if he's yeah. So I have no solid answer there, or yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I agree with you, just because there's not much to go on. It could go either way. I think it's just like it is interesting because I feel like the past week I was also more of Alliance that like I feel like the last week has been like, oh, it's so crazy they're doing the multiverse, and I was like, there's so many people that still just think he is the Fox Quicksilver. But then the other thing I've started to see these past few days is like so many people being like, oh, if they do the thing where he's not Quicksilver and they just got the same actor, I'm gonna be really disappointed. I'm gonna be interesting to see that reveal, because we've talked about this before with the Mandarin, as far as like, are they gonna piss people off if this Quicksilver is just like a lack? Like, what if he's not even Mephisto? What if he's just a fucking dude like Agnes took over? Like what if they just did it for the smart casting? And I feel like his look that he had in this episode with the two, like he looked very stonery, like nonchalant, like he wouldn't care much, and that's where I was like, is this dude even Mephisto now? Like, is he just someone random? Like, Taylor, what did you take away from our quick
maybe
glance of possibly Pietro?
maybe he's Jimmy's guy in witness protection program from like episode early on, just this whole
Fuck.
time. um, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back and like take a proper like look or gander at him, because it happens so quickly, but he I feel like there's uh a negative tone to it, because yeah, I mean, if yeah, just the phrasing, snooper's gonna snoop, that just sounds negative.
Yeah.
Like you catch anyone doing something they know they're not supposed to, and you say that, like, it's so negative. So I feel like, again, maybe he is a lackey. I mean, it's possible, but I feel more along the lines that Agatha possibly maybe shape shifted him to take the form while he was at the door, or she did something to enhance or do something, because it just, I feel like there's more to him. Um, and again, him popping up at the end there, it just, I don't know. I can't get a proper read on it, but I feel like there's more to him. I don't feel like he's just a lackey. I don't feel like he is the Quicksilver from Fox. I feel
Yeah.
like people, I don't want to say that people shouldn't get that expectation super super high for that, because I mean they have a right to, because I mean
It's the same actor playing the same character.
Feige's just tricking them, right? So um but I just
Oh, did anybody think that it was Feige that talked to Wanda behind the camera?
I
oh,
thought for a second they were gonna turn the camera. It was gonna be Feige. I did think
I
that.
for a
I was like,
split second, and I was thinking about you, Travis, because you wanted that kind of Deadpool thing to happen.
yeah.
with Feige. But if it would have happened here, that would have been awesome.
I was like, oh, they're gonna pull it, and then they didn't, and obviously we found out whoever that was. Well, it was just Agatha using a dude's voice, I guess. So,
Yeah.
and then Fracture Wolf says like, he says he felt it was like the vibe of the Fox X1, and Snooper's gonna snoop sound like a dude chillaxing or trolling. I guess, but I guess my problem is Fracture is just like, I just don't think after last episode he'd be chilling. Like I just feel like that was a very intense situation. Not only the portal being or the hex growing, like his sister literally like hit him. Like she used his whatever her powers to just smack him around. And even then, early in the episode, she doesn't talk too kindly of him when they say, "Oh, Uncle Pietro," and she goes, "That
Yeah.
is not your uncle." And that's where I think they're already trying to set the seeds for general audiences to be like, if you didn't understand something's wrong with Pietro, there is something wrong with Pietro. And I'm the same as Taylor, that I took his, even the quick little second we got of him, his demeanor and him saying that, it felt negative. It felt like, even if it is just a lackey, and it is going to be interesting to see the reaction after, because you have a movie called Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness coming out. You have multiverse stuff, and it's just like, if he's not, and if he is just a lackey, but then again, there's a chance that he is Ralph and Ralph is Mephisto, right? So I don't know. Are you laughing about what Gabriel said there?
Yeah.
Been
Poor
awake till
Brazilian.
5 a.m. just to watch Brazil in Brazil, just to see Darcy and Vision talk in a car.
I was
straight
waiting
up-
for so long, like, because I was thinking for some reason that like maybe Wanda had probably taken away his powers, because the whole thing about maybe factory reset was going
Yeah.
in my mind still. I was
Right.
like, why doesn't he just fly over there? And then
Yeah.
it wasn't until like the third stop or whatever on that street where he finally just got fed up and started to fly off. But can we just really quick talk about how everybody shut down Disney Plus? Like, did we say anything about that?
No, we didn't. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, we had a little later start because I took about 10 minutes for me to get in, and I had to start on my phone and then
Yeah.
stream it to the TV. And Taylor, what did you end up using, Taylor? Because you started behind all of us.
I finally, yeah, it was like 25 minutes past 12, and it worked on my phone finally, and I thought, okay, well, I'll load it up one more time on my computer, and then it loaded on my computer, so thank God. Didn't have to watch it on my tiny 5-inch screen.
I got in right at 12. It was perfect for me.
Lucky bastard. Yeah, I know I should have tried my PlayStation, but yeah. So, what are you feeling, Clay, now as far as Quicksilver goes, or
As far as
whatever
Quicksilver,
he is?
I was thinking Mephisto, but then of course, you guys talked about how Agnes was in fact like hexing him or doing something. So that kind of like, I'm not sure. And I this is clearly something that Disney is wanting to do, that Marvel is wanting to do, to really get us guessing. I have it paused here when Quicksilver is talking to Monica at the end credit scene. Nothing seems too off about him. I mean, he looks like he's in a very shaggy type clothing. He looks super pale, but nothing seems like too off about him compared to what we've seen in the prior episodes. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I want to say that thinking it's the Fox Quicksilver is too, like I said, with the entire, Agnes thing or Agatha thing, it's too on the nose. Like, so I don't want to go there, but it might be, it's too many options. Right now.
Another thing I'd say to counter the Fox thing is that he has so much pre-existing knowledge of Wanda and this MCU, right? He knew to say again, like last episode,
That could
you're
be
dead.
her though. That could
Well,
be
it
Agatha
could be
putting
the
that in him.
It could be for sure, but then again, like it's just the confidence of what he says. Like he just feels like a character that's very different from your Dottie, from the mailman and like the neighbor and all these other characters. Like he feels very different. And again, he was poking and trying to learn things from Wanda in last episode, and he was diverting every single question that she was directing towards him. And again, that comment like, "Oh, your dead husband can't die twice," like he's so mysterious. And you're right, it totally could be Agatha, but I feel like Agatha was working at it her own angle. I mean,
But
again,
she's the one that still hexed at him, right? We got that scene of, that's where, if we didn't get the scene of her behind him putting a spell on him, then I'd say, oh, you could potentially right. But that's the same with him being Mephisto. If he was Mephisto, I don't think he'd be at the doorstep getting hexed by Agatha. Like that would make
Like
sense to me.
he wouldn't need to be hexed.
It'd be
He
the
could
other
just
way
do whatever.
around almost, like he'd be. So that's where it's just like, and that's my worry of like, I do really want him somehow be the Fox Quicksilver, because I was always fine if there was a big reveal and he was Mephisto. I don't want him just to be some random dude that's a lackey. I really don't want that, because I just feel like that I could justify the Mephisto thing, and you can justify anything, but I just feel like that'll piss off people even more if he's just like, if next episode he's just a lackey who could just get killed off, and everyone's like, oh, that's what we did here. And I would love nothing more the next episode to start and he's like, I'm gonna try to help you get my sister out, and be like, oh, this is cool. Like, or he, even if he like snapped out and he's like, I don't know what's going on, and let's say he is the Fox Quicksilver and he's like, I don't know what's going on, but like supposedly this is my sister, I don't know, I'm gonna help you so I can get out of here. Like, I would love that if he's helping, but I just worry that, we're gonna see Monica like tied up or beaten down, and he'll be like, look who I found." It's like, oh no, like, and maybe she's still imbued him with the powers of Quicksilver. Obviously, he's running fast, so like she can make people powerful. I don't know. It's very interesting that we only, and somebody said that there's only 3 episodes listed on IMDb. IMDb doesn't matter until the thing airs. It's like Wikipedia. Things can get edited and changed all the time. So with him just listing 3, I wouldn't take that as gospel. And even then, maybe they don't even list the first episode he was in because it was just a minor scene. So if it's on IMDb, don't worry about it. But I'm sure we'll get back to him. But anything immediate with this end credit scene or anything like that, like, again, it's very mysterious. We don't got that answer yet. I thought we were gonna, well, I guess we did get an answer. I thought we were either gonna get the Evan Peters reveal or the engineer reveal. We got the engineer reveal. The Evan Peters ones were waiting, but we got the Agnes one, and she's officially Agnes Harkness.
And I don't know, Kirkland, if you know what the engineer is. I certainly don't. Can you enlighten a little bit?
I do not.
So we can talk about
feeling.
this now. So remember the past 2 weeks, Monica's been talking about she knows someone that can help her get in the hex, and it's been like this, like, who's it gonna be? Who's this person? And like it ended up being like literally nobody, like, for weeks. And so here's my problem is, I'm fine if it is nobody, because Brent tweeted this out today, like, what if it is just someone for Emperor? I'm fine with that. My problem is when you do the hard zoom in on the phone the first time they talked about 2 episodes ago, you start to set up expectations. If you just have her mention someone, then it's just, okay, you mentioned someone, that's fine. But they did the hard zoom in on the phone, like, this is important. Then she mentioned again a following week episode, and then this is just a random person we never knew, who, as I know, I don't even know if they name dropped her, is not like a introducing of a new Marvel character from the comic book. So I think that's a situation where it's very lost, like, where sometimes they would build the expectations too high and make people mad. I think that is one of those where it's like, you should never even tease that. You should just said, like, even this episode, you should have said, hey, I just called somebody, they're going to meet us there. So we'd have no time to process it. We'd be like, oh, who's she meeting? Okay, it's a new character.
I didn't get that like at all. I just took it as, oh, they're just going to meet someone. She's going to give her vehicle.
But we talked about that the past 2 weeks. Like, why else would you like zoom in on that phone if it's going to, like, why would you make an emphasis of she's going to meet somebody if it's like, it's nobody? It's literally nobody.
About like the big,
They did name drop her. I can't remember the name off the top. Goodner, Major Goodner. That doesn't ring any bells.
No,
I know some Marvel, but that doesn't ring any bells.
And Andrew's right. Andrew's right in the chat. But she referred to the person as a guy, so that's where it was another thing where it's like there was no guy giving her this equipment.
Well, and the thing was, and I guess we can go ahead and move towards this. Major Goodner shows the vehicle that they're gonna take inside of the hex, and I was like, oh, maybe it's the driver. Who's driving it? And they didn't even show that. So I think the reveal might still be ongoing. We may see it later. But
I think it's gone. No, I think there's.
You think it's done?
With Monica, and like, because like
I'm saying it's a possibility, but
the driver's just some chump that got sucked in.
I think it's really funny that if this is the reveal, then Brent was right on the nose, that it's just some random person. And I guess you can headcanon that, like, and you don't even have to headcanon because they even said it, this is all because of relationships that her mother had in the past. So, because they said, oh, we don't have to just, we're not just, what did she say, loyal to her or whatever. So this whole thing with taking this giant truck into the hex or whatever, did anybody actually think it was going to work?
I was optimistic.
I thought they might make it a little bit further in.
But Kirkland, you were the same as Taylor, that you didn't think it was going to be. You weren't disappointed by this non-reveal. It was just some people.
Well, I had no expectations. I didn't know that it was a big. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Um,
like so much today, people are talking about like, oh, it's gonna be John Krasinski as Reed Richards.
are you
I did
Okay.
tweet.
serious? That's a
Yeah,
There you go.
stretch.
I did. Well, oh, nice
Pun
pun
Ha
there.
intended.
ha ha.
Like no, like, and I did tweet out the Thanos gif with him. And it's like sometimes reality is often disappointing, and it's just like that's exactly what this scene felt like. I just was like, even if it was like I've been saying, like Bill Foster from Ant-Man or something like that. It was just like I think for myself and I think a few others, I think that they shouldn't. I think they played their cards wrong on this one, and I think that they I think they do got to be careful because with this one, to me, being a bummer for people that were really hyped for it, and then if the Evan Peters thing is just like he's a lackey, that's kind of two in a row where it's like these two potential big things that fans are getting worked up over. It's gonna be like, like I said, you don't want a Mandarin situation. I never hated the Mandarin twist, but a lot of people that pissed them off, and they're like, that's just super lame. And as we've talked about Marvel Alliance, they're redoing Mandarin. He's going to be in saying she is the villain. It's like, oh, well, this is the real Mandarin. Like, look at this. So it's just like, I think they got to be careful with their reveals. And this one, fine, granted. I just think then what it was is whoever was in charge of that episode, that was a bad directing choice then to zoom in on that phone and to emphasize like this is important because you don't, that's filmmaking 101. You don't zoom in on something unless it's important. And the fact that this was not like it's nothing, it's just a character. I know Fractured, you said like, oh, it could be something down the line. It could be, but then don't make it a big deal. Let's just meet this character. But yeah, I didn't think she was getting through that tunnel with that. I thought she was like she's gonna have to go through the way she did when she went through with her body. I just thought, okay, we gotta get the whole point was if you go through one more time, you know, you might change forever. And like if she almost had her powers before, she sure has them now. So yeah. And what do you guys think about that? Obviously, we didn't learn too much more about Monica. Like we talked about that relationship, but she has her powers. I wouldn't say she went toe to toe with Wanda because she even acknowledged that Wanda was holding back because Wanda was like, I could kill you. But that was a good point to kind of reminding her as far as Wanda's not the full villain of like, yeah, but you
Yeah.
won't do that. So it's like she had enough to like contain the blows. But I thought we might get something like this. I was surprised we actually got it right now as far as her even kind of facing down Wanda. But that's good, and I'm excited to see where she goes. I like the effect of the eyes, and there's some fun stuff. I liked when she was going through the portal and just hearing a bunch of quotes and whatnot. You heard Captain Marvel again, so
Nick
I'm
Fury too.
yeah, I'm excited for what they do with her.
Yeah, I also like her struggling to get through. I felt like I might be wrong here, but I felt like it kind of answered the question on why she would have like disdain towards Carol, uh, Captain Marvel, because like
First name basis, Kirklin is.
yeah, she's my Fab Five.
Yeah.
But because like Nick Fury's quote was he was basically like telling her that she can't do something, like he was kind of like restricting her because she wasn't Carol Danvers, like she wasn't.
Yeah.
And then like she was like maybe that's why she's just like, oh, screw you, like, you know, like I'm not to that level. But obviously now she's getting a little supercharged up. I really like that effect of her going through there and then like us
Yeah.
hearing the quotes and stuff. I thought that was really well done. And then yeah, like when she came through and we saw the effects with her eyes, I am not familiar like whatsoever with Photon, that's her name, right?
Photon Spectrum. As we looked up last 2 weeks
The
ago,
woman
she's
of
like
many
14 fucking
names, yeah.
yeah, the woman of many names. That's about what I'm
Yeah.
gonna call
So
her.
I have no experience with her, but I thought
Yeah.
this was a really cool like reveal of this superhero, and I'm just so excited to see more. And I thought that was really well done.
Mm-hmm. Taylor.
Yeah, I really like her reveal and her formation as a hero now. I think her going through the port or through the hex, sorry, was just awesome. It was a very, very powerful character development moment, I would say, for her. As you were pointing out, Kirkland, just all these voices and everything kind of just channeling it through her and fueling her. Now, when it got to the scene where she was going toe to toe with Wanda, I, I want to call her like Super Rambo because it was just super awesome. And I loved when Wanda almost looked shocked when she went at her and Rambo just lands down and does a superhero landing, and just you see like the energy like poof out from around her. It was just such a badass scene, and I love the confidence that she was emanating. And I was it was so cool to see um just that moment where Wanda, again, like things in this episode were all about her just losing control, and this was just, to me, it felt like it was just obviously not the tip of the iceberg where her kids were gone, but it just felt like a moment where, okay, I have a super here that I'm dealing with, that just like it caught her off guard. She hasn't had
Yeah.
any supers that she's had to deal with. She's been controlling Vision relatively well up to this point, and Pietro, Uncle Quicksilver, Mephisto, whatever, is like she dealt with him, but this is someone that like is from out of the hex, has powers, and just went toe to toe with her. And again, yeah, she was holding back. She probably could have killed her for sure, but it was just such a cool dynamic to see that.
Yeah, and I love how she like threw her out of the house and everything like that. And like
Yeah.
when she came in and how upset she was, just like, "What are you doing here?" and everything like that. So, we're gonna continue this conversation after this next ad break. Clay, what do you think about? We got Monica fully. No, we're getting there. We're like 75% there of like superpowers. She just needs a costume and a cape, and we're gonna be good to go. And a few more
Yeah, for
hours of
sure.
training.
I really like the visuals for what her power is. Of course, is she can see the spectrum of energy and lights and all of that. I think it's really really cool.
Mhm.
I went ahead and went back on my second viewing to put subtitles on to see what was all going on and what was being said during that time. Um, and just like Kirkland said, nothing too like on the nose or too like Easter eggy or anything like that. It's just a prior conversation that we had seen it or heard at least some parts were in Captain Marvel. And I do agree with Kirkland in the sense of like she has been seen as like, hey, you can never be as good as Captain Marvel. And so that's probably why she, has chosen to work with Sword and take that direction in life. So
Mhm.
I think that is like possibly a wrong motivator, but I can understand why she's doing it. But as far as the moment with when she confronts Wanda, we found what was her name, Dottie, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Dottie, yeah, she was doing
We
some
we
We
flowers.
found
we
her.
finally see Dottie, and she looks semi-normal, and that was one thing. Everybody stopped what they were doing to look, but
Yeah.
not in a concerning manner. They just all stopped, and then they all went around, about their business or whatever when it was all over.
Hmm.
So again, kind of showing that Wanda has a little bit of control, possibly, but not complete control.
Well, and she definitely doesn't have complete control, as we saw at the beginning of this episode. Everything's flipping on her, right? It's like whether that is her powers getting messed with, or I just think it's that she's super powerful, but she's also at the point of trying to control too much. Like she expanded that hex, and now it's just like everything is changing. The video games are changing, the house, the scenery, and just like it just might be too much. And also, it just might be an emotional thing, right? If she's under more pressure, anxiety, stress, she can't control those as much. So the fact that had the falling out with like the brother, and even then, not even she says it's not even your uncle, so she's kind of said that's not your brother. Her husband, she's not letting come home. The kids are kind of getting on her nerves, so she even couldn't, as the thumbnail is, she was still just sleeping in her superhero costume, which I still said I think Disney had a few goals with this show. I think they want to set up Doctor Strange. I think they want to have a good show, and I also think they want to make every man and woman fall in love with Elizabeth Olsen, and that's what they're doing. Her in this bed, just like they're subliminally putting things in people's mind. Like I said, when my fiance is sending me like Elizabeth Olsen thirst pictures, it's like it's working for everybody. Like this is like it's crazy. So it's funny. And yeah, what Adrian Ford, movie reviews, books and vlogs, said, like, if she got the powers by going through the hex, how did she already know how to use them? I'm the same as Fracture. I don't think she really knew how to use them. I think it was just like a natural response. And like, I think if she was popping off and was just like kicking Wanda's ass, then you'd be like, yeah, it's a little, but like literally, she just attacked her and it was like she landed. It was almost like a defense mechanism. So I think it was just like you're seeing them a little bit. And but yeah, Wanda, that was the big thing we talked a little bit about. She couldn't control her powers. That's how the kids get sent away. We did see the stork again, which we want to get into. Like, Wanda's powers are not, they're red, but to me, they're not like a red smoke. They're like energy. And we looked at, what's her name? Agatha now. Hers was like smoky, but purple and black. So I still think with that being the red puff, that could be something. And this is what I want to talk about. So Paul Bettany today, they did Good Morning America, and they're talking about all this stuff, and he revealed that Evan Peters was not the cameo, and he even said like, oh, I've heard some people say it's Doctor Strange, and I'm paraphrasing, but he just said like, oh, we have a very special character, it's going to be very interesting, and it's an actor I've wanted to work with all my life. So of course, like the internet went like a buzz. Like it was like Brendan Spence, he's so hooked up on the engineer. We did talk about. I agree with you, Brent. I think they doubled. Like I think they missed the boat there, and I do agree with someone. I can't remember who's in the chat just said like, they do a good job of building us up, but you got to be careful with disappointing us. Even though the ending could be good, I agree, but you do got to be careful. But either way, Paul Bettany was saying that as an actor, want to work with all his life. Of course, including myself, many people jumping to Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, because when you use the terms all my life, it's definitely one, people said, well, he's already worked with Benedict Cumberbatch, but two, it's like all my life is definitely of someone of note. And to me, the whole, if it's Patrick Stewart or Ian McKellen, if you were to ask me, I still think no, but it is still peculiar that he used that phrasing. I think it all depends on what Quicksilver is, because if he's just a lackey, other than I guess you can introduce Ian McKellen to be Elizabeth Olsen's father, I guess, sure. I don't know if that's the route you would go, but if he is an X-Men guy, then sure. But if not, that could possibly be tipping the cap that he is just a lackey, and whoever was playing Mephisto is maybe the classic actor. That is maybe a new actor we've never met before in the MCU. So now I'm starting to think that is that because he just says it's a special character, interesting character. It doesn't mean it's like one we've seen before. Everyone's taking it that way. Patrick Stewart has already said he had meetings with Kevin Feige. It is plausible it could be that. I would love it to be those, but I don't know. After this episode, I feel like it could be. We might be getting Mephisto with an actor we don't even know, which could, I don't know. We'll see. It all depends on how it's done and whatnot.
My only thought on who that might be, and like, I don't know, like starting to lean a little bit on the possibility of seeing Patrick Stewart in here is yes, if Pietro, Evan Peters, Quicksilver is the actual Fox one, like that would be an obvious, tie to that world. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. But also, since we're reading House of M now, and I'm realizing like who the major players are that like interact with Wanda when she's having moments like this.
Yeah.
Like now I know it's like Doctor Strange, Charles Xavier, like two big ones, right? And
yeah,
we already know that the show is leading into Doctor Strange, so I know where that title will be. But yeah, if we see Patrick Stewart and like both of them, that would be the freaking holy grail. Like I'm talking Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart.
Oh, hi Wanda. I'm Charles Xavier. I'm here to help you, and I have your father from a different universe here, and she just has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, and like I'm not confident that that's gonna be the case or anything like that. But like, if that does happen, I would probably lose my mind. And just like, we're breaking through the realms of possibility with where we go in the MCU now. So
yeah, and I'm with you as far as like if you were to ask me like prediction, I was like, no, I don't think so. I think I'm leaning more towards like Fracture brought up like imagine if Bryan Cranston's Mephisto, that'd be good. But I feel like Bryan Cranston and Paul Bettany are kind of equals. Like that's why I think it's someone older, because when you say all your life, like I don't know if Paul Bettany at the age of 20 was like, oh, I can't wait to work with Bryan Cranston, who's currently voicing Power Ranger villains right now. I think it'd be like, no, it's Patrick Stewart in Star Trek, or it's Ian McKellen as this young up and comer and stuff like that. Like that's, or like I said, an actor we don't know, like obviously it's not gonna be Robert Redford, but when Robert Redford was in Winter Soldier, right? Classic Hollywood actor that was a villain, so it could easily be that, and that would honestly be easier to hide than bringing Stewart or Ian McKellen back, because if you have anybody seeing them on set or something, you know why they're there, or you have a feeling. But if it's just like random, legend A, if it is like if it was, I don't know, Al Pacino's gonna be Mephisto because he played the devil and devil's advocate. You wouldn't know for sure why he's there because he's not a part of Marvel. Maybe just visiting someone. That's not smart in COVID, but I don't know. Taylor, what do you think about what the weekly as far as Evan Peters? We've been at least confirmed is not the Luke Skywalker-esque cameo, and I think that's one reason why I did at least jump to Stewart, because like Luke Skywalker is an older character, Mark Hamill's older, so I thought, okay, maybe it is like,
I believe the Luke Skywalker reference came from Elizabeth Olsen, especially in regards to that episode, I believe.
You think so? I don't think so. I feel like they're talking about the same person.
She said like in tonight's episode there'll be like a Luke Skywalker reveal. I feel like that's
no.
what
she never said tonight's episode. Don't put words in her mouth.
Well, I'm not trying to.
No,
it's like almost 2 p.m.
You're thinking about her mouth, but come on now. It's 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Like I don't know.
Mark Hamill play a good Mephisto. It is just Mark Hamill again, and all these fucking Disney Plus shows. It's just always Mark Hamill doing some sort of role.
I mean, it very well could be, your Ian McKellen or your Patrick Stewart, but I'm not feeling like it's going to be. I mean, yeah, it does depend if that Quicksilver Pietro is from uh, the X-Men universe, but I don't feel like they are touching upon that. Like again, I don't feel like Feige was gonna use that universe and use those characters. I mean, at the
Yeah.
most, maybe some crazy Hugh Jackman thing. I think literally the only exception out of all of that is Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, for some
Hmm.
sheer breaking the fourth wall kind of thing. But this this scenario, no, I don't think that it's going to be them reprising their roles. I think that it's just going to be, if they are, play new characters. Maybe Pietro is just a nobody. He's just a lackey, as you said, and we have Ian McKellen playing Mephisto or something like that. It's possible, but I just don't know.
Fractured say maybe Ian McDermott pops in the MCU. Now that would be a huge Luke's cameo thing. If it's not Ian McDermott, but it's him playing the Emperor and he was behind this all, that'd be crazy. So, what about you, Clay? Do you have any other kind of theories now for this week? As far as we heard these comments today, obviously, if there is some big character coming, wasn't in this episode. I hope for God's sake he wasn't just referring to Agnes or something like that being Agatha. I don't think so, but
Yeah, no, I said it in our group chat that if it was going to be anybody, I think it would be Ian and not Patrick Stewart. You know,
yeah.
Patrick Stewart has been on the record for saying the same thing over and over again, and that's the fact that um, him and Hugh Jackman made the promise basically that like Logan was the goodbye to their characters.
Yeah.
And I think that Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are like two actors that are so old and experienced with acting in Hollywood that basically if they're done, like they, yeah, a paycheck's a paycheck, but it's just a paycheck to them. You know, it's nothing like, oh, I really need this to up my game in Hollywood
Yeah.
or anything. You know, so I don't think that Marvel going to Patrick Stewart being like, "We need you to come back," and he would be like, "Oh, I'll do it at once." You know, he's not going to be jumping at the bits to be Professor X again. I don't think.
Sorry, Hugh.
So
Let's
I
just bring in Hugh with them.
Yeah.
the only reason like I would think that it would be is if they want to play with the mythos of the X-Men in the Fox universe, maybe we have something like Days of Future Past happening again, and they're like sending the consciousness like across the multiverse type thing
Mhm.
instead of just like through time. So that could be something. That's just my random out there theory that I don't think is going to come true, but you know, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, to me, I'm kind of like, if they do all this, I think Evan Peters is a bit different for me because he didn't have too much time in the role. But like, I think I still do want like a lot of, unless it's Fassbender, I do want a lot of recast and kind of starting over. I feel like they could, if they introduce Ian McKellen and Patrick, I would be fine if they just said, "Oh, it's the multiverse," and they're in their own little pocket universe still, and maybe they come over for some adventures. That's fine. But I think more or less, I still want all the X-Men to be kind of new cast members, and new storylines because there's a lot of bad in that Fox universe as well too. Like I don't know, I don't want to be chain linked to it unless they just are literally doing Patrick Stewart is playing Xavier and it's like the J.K. Simmons route where he's just they ignore everything. It's just well, we really like J.K. or we really like Patrick Stewart, so we brought him over. You could do that maybe, but I don't know. We talked about a little bit. I know someone made the comment about watching Darcy and Vision talk in the car. So I liked it all, but I think it didn't have to go on as long as it did because, like, when we get that reveal of his powers are fine, he can just go away. But I did like that. Okay, Vision now gets to know, what's the situation, how he died, stuff like that. He got a little backstory, and then the last time we saw him is when he's leaving. So that's why I still think Evan Peters could be bad because, like, Monica could be down. Wanda could be down, and then Vision comes in at least to spring them from this situation. But I liked everything except for like the comedy, like when they were doing like the clowns running after in the car and the strong man, like that stuff was very like take it or leave it for me. It's not like the comedy in the 60s episode or 70s where it's like I actually enjoy it. This was like okay, just like Modern Family. This doesn't do much for me, but I think we learned some valuable stuff about Vision. What about you, Kirkland?
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier. I felt like the comedy just throughout the episode, like sitcom wise, just wasn't really hitting with me. And then yeah, like their comedy was kind of on those lines, but I do agree with you. I liked like I was okay with them kind of being there before Vision just fucked off and then like went home,
Mhm.
because it kind of like had, because like he didn't really remember much and he was really trying to like get away from that or just trying to understand more, I feel, whereas now he's like, oh yeah, like I am in love with Wanda, and like he kind of like just got reminded by that. So I was okay with there being a delay for him before he just used his powers to go home. And yeah, I thought Darcy was good. Like it was a good little back and forth that they had there. And I thought they were just gonna run into Monica and there was gonna be like the three of them kind of conversing, but obviously we didn't get that. So
Mhm. What about you guys? Any thoughts on Vision and Darcy?
I thought it was kind of weird the way Darcy was kind of telling Vision how everything went down. It was almost as if like she watched Endgame. Like,
Yeah.
it
yeah,
wasn't like, oh, I read this file and this happened. Like it sounds like a fan of the franchise telling him what's going on. So that felt a little weird, but I mean,
yeah, that's a
other
good
than that,
point.
you know, y'all made the joke about this being like a Modern Family, The Office, or whatnot. I just started not The Office, but Modern Family this week. I've only seen like the first two episodes. The humor is not really my thing. I like The Office a little bit more, to be completely honest.
Mm.
But I mean, I saw it there, and of course, it completely broke from what they were trying to do with the Modern Family, like modern comedy. As soon as Vision was like, "Hey, I'm done with this," like that was when all of the comedy kind of left the show,
Yeah.
which I
Hmm.
did like that. So but Darcy coming in and them not playing off of Two Broke Girls was a little disappointing, but it is what it is.
Mm.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Taylor? Or
Um, yeah, I enjoyed the humor. As soon as Vision saw Darcy and was going up to her and like, "Hey, we had that moment like last night where we locked eyes." Like it was just so good, and I got a kick out of her, um, not caricature, but her persona, I guess, in Westview when she went into the Hex, where she's the was like the trap artist or
the
something like
yeah,
that.
escape
The
artist or
escape
whatever it
artist,
was.
yeah, I got
Yeah.
a kick out of that. So that I thought that was clever. And again, I like that she was unhexed and she was just giving him the facts. You are right, Clay. It definitely felt like she was just like, I read the Endgame comic last night, watched the movie, I'll read you all the lines.
Yeah.
But um,
She had to kill you, and then the guy brought you back, and then she watched you die.
yeah, my headcanon's just that she didn't get snapped and she spent a lot of time
Read a
looking into
lot.
what happened. Yeah.
Because
So
that does show that like one of those Avengers though had to write some tell-all book if people know all these details. Like they know about Captain Marvel taking down Thanos. They
who
know
wrote
about
that book?
They
Which
probably had a
Avenger?
body cam
Howard the
on one of
Duck.
the Avengers,
Yeah,
so
Howard the Duck.
Yeah, of
they
course he wrote it, that bastard. So. Let's see. Last 2 points I have is the commercial. We got I liked the commercial a lot because that was very nice modern day of like, oh, you're suffering from depression and all this
I did
stuff.
not
And
understand it at all.
I googled it.
did you get answers?
I have an answer.
Okay, go
What's
ahead.
your answer?
Well, I'm just curious. Do you know what the Nexus is, Travis?
I feel like I've heard the name, but I was not. The only thing that I was wondering is they said the word doctor an obscene amount of
Mm.
times, and I to me thought like, okay, if last week was setting up, Evan Peters possibly being Mephisto taking the yogurt away from the kid or giving him the kid dying and the kid's disappearing in the show, I thought this was like, oh, you need a doctor, talk to your doctor. To me, kind of insinuating like I do think we will see Doctor Strange in this, or at least alluded to, and that's because obviously he's gonna be Sep. So that's what I correlated it to.
I think this from what this is, it's definitely connected with Doctor Strange. I'm gonna go read this comic now, not tonight, but soon because it's
No, not at 2 a.m.
Nexus War Thor. Apparently, is what this comic is, and the Nexus is a cross-dimensional gateway which provides a pathway to any and all possible realities. This includes realities between realities. It is unknown whether it was created by some being or just if it's the one place in the entire universe where all realities naturally intersect.
So maybe that's what they end up calling the like how they call the blip in the MCU. Maybe whatever Wanda does
Multiverse of
instead of
Madness.
yeah, but they call it Nexus for short or something, right? Because I don't think the character's gonna be walking around like, oh, you remember the multiverse of madness? That well, I guess maybe Darcy. She might be like, oh, remember when we got Toby back?
Well,
and everything? Like,
this
what
is
the fuck are you
where
talking about?
this is where I think it's gonna like maybe even like segues or somehow connects to like Loki show. I guess that's obviously far out, but
Yeah.
there's like Nexus beings they talk about and stuff like that where they can like affect the universal time stream and stuff like
Well,
that.
and they
So
have like they said it at the very first Comic Con they revealed these shows, but then they've like walked it back. But they did one point say that Loki had a connection to these like Doctor Strange and Loki and WandaVision. So
Well, wouldn't
I thought
it
it was
be
interesting.
the 9 realms
Mhm.
also connect to the Nexus? Probably.
If Thor's mucking around in it, possibly.
mhm.
So yeah, and I like the commercial. It was a good play on today. Like Fractured said, like one of the conditions you to get rid of the depression, you take pills to get the depression more, and it's just like, oh, okay, like it was funny. I liked it. The other thing we had, I think, big thing that if there's anything else, you guys can shut up. But Hayward, his firewall, he was trying to program Vision, get him up and running, and they just kind of insinuate a weapon. Obviously, people have been rocking that Ultron theory lately, so you could still make that case of like, oh, he's just trying to get him up and running so he can take over his body. Again, I just hope he's a dick who just was like, you know what, Vision shouldn't be buried. We should just use him as a weapon, and like, you know, he's a machine. That's fine. And then my hope is that Wanda got wind of it, and maybe this guy gets fired, or he's just a dick kind of character. I don't need a big twist. There's so much going on with the show that I also just like we've told before, the Hayward actor I don't think is the greatest. So I don't really care about him. So I don't really want some last minute like he is Ultron and he's here. Like no, I don't want that. Just make him a guy who's not great at his job, or he got too power hungry, and that makes sense why Wanda would go get him because maybe Wanda got Vision because they're using him like against his will, rebooting him. But then when she did get him, she had this idea of like, I just imagine she was just sitting there with his dead body looking at him like, I wish things were different. I wish, and maybe out of her subconscious, boom, this all happened, kind of like what she talked about last week. So, but that's what he's doing behind that firewall.
He's a Skrull. That's my guess.
You're just going the Skrull theory.
Yeah. Well, I'll toss my tokens on that one.
I don't think a Skrull would want or care for Vision though.
Well, no, they might want a
Powerful,
weapon.
powerful
Yeah, it's a powerful
item.
weapon. Phoenix Rises says, I bet this is what happened. Doctor Strange kills Agatha, one has a meltdown, Strange starts to cant, then a distant shot explosion, and they're both gone. I don't think Doctor Strange is killing Agatha. I find it very peculiar if Agatha gets introduced in the next episode. Doctor Strange just comes in with his fucking butterflies and warps her out. I think Doctor Strange is just more gonna be, okay, what is the situation I need to go figure out instead of just like, here, bad guy, and take them out. I also think Agatha or other people could transfer over to the movie. So, but you never know. I do think we'll get some sort of Doctor Strange, alludement soon here. So
I just looked up because I was gonna be like, I'll probably just stay up all night and read this. I looked up the Nexus War book. It's the Fortnite crossover with Marvel.
Taylor's favorite. Taylor loves Fortnite.
So there's that. But I don't know. As far as the whole Doctor Strange thing coming in, I think it definitely has something to do with, of course, multiverse of madness or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think that, like you said, with the whole Ultron, and just like Joe was talking about in our group chat, there is so many theories going around on TikTok. It is actually like, I used to go to TikTok to pass the time. Like, I can't do that anymore because there's so many people that just like want to have their time to shine and like posting WandaVision theories all over the place. It's insane. I think the Ultron thing is a really big stretch. I think it would be kind of nuts. But I think the whole Hayward thing, him being a dick, I would also, hope that is the extent of it, because like we all said, having Sword be this like, oh, we're gonna have our own weapon, because even wasn't it Wu who said like, oh, he wanted to weaponize Vision,
Yeah.
So maybe that was because he is the head of Sword. You can technically say, oh, it was Sword all along, but it might just be him.
Taylor, any theories?
I got one very crazy one.
Ghost Rider.
No, not tonight's episode.
Yeah.
Let me just pull up his name.
He would have died if Wanda went in that basement and he goes far as just hanging out.
He's just got his revving up his motorcycle. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So
Hop on.
what if? And this is gonna be
You're single now, huh?
This is gonna be a long shot here. So what if?
Oh no.
What's his name? The sword leader dude again?
Hayward.
Hayward. So what if Hayward is working the angles here to get Vision repurposed and rebooted for a one Mr. Justin Hammer. So Justin Hammer can finally get his hammer drone.
I'm gonna say that's a big no. I think we will see Justin Hammer again. I don't think we're gonna
Oh, please
see
no.
him.
This is the lead into Armor Wars.
Yes. So they got this. They got it. This is a perfect segue.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm gonna say no on that one. I don't think so.
I would be surprised. I'll give you that one.
Put all my chips on it.
There's people in the chat that want to see your Nick Cage.
Well, maybe that's who Paul's talking about. He's like, I want to work with this actor all my life, Nicolas Cage.
I knew you were gonna
Ghost
say
Rider.
that.
I was
And
trying not
Adrian-
to because I didn't want to
yeah.
be predictable, but fuck,
No.
couldn't
And
help
Adrian,
myself.
yeah, I guess you didn't enjoy the episode. You said Cage might be the only thing to redeem this episode. I'm nowhere
Oh my
near.
God.
I'm not on that.
I
I'm not
can
on
get
that
on
wavelength.
board with this guy.
I got some like cons of this episode, but
Iron
like
Man's
there's a
too
lot
underrated.
worse TV and Marvel that we've gotten before. Look at Thor: The Dark World. So,
Did you
let's
see
see.
what Phoenix Rise said? Nexus is also in Oslo, where Jarvis gave the rest of his life to stop Ultron's nukes. It symbolizes
The
Vision's
Nexus.
willingness to die for the people.
How do people remember and pinpoint
I did not.
these
I did
things?
not remember that.
Well, I think it all depends on what you've read, right? Like there's certain things in Zilla lore.
But one
that-
thing that Tony says in Age of Ultron, like unless it's referenced somewhere else, that's good. But like
I think it might be
someone
yeah.
just like like I mean, you have photographic memory of these things. Like just like kudos to these people that come up with these
See,
connections.
I've been able to do that in comics. I haven't been able to do that with any of the movies, to be completely honest.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So then they were also talking about the book in the basement, what it was, and some people are saying it's the Darkhold. Bro, maybe I guess that's still the Darkhold from Morgan Le Fay. Morgan Le Fay, I don't know if we're ready for that, but
You say the dark hole?
the Darkhold, yeah, her book, The Darkhold, yeah. That one, Wanda. That one's private. No, the Darkhold. Darkhold. Yeah, that's. I hope Wanda has a Darkhold book. That'd be great, But it's just about book cooking, and it's like, oh, okay, that's fine. Put it away. Walk away. Anything else to shout out about this episode?
Not for me.
Going once, going twice. And we're gone. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you as always for joining us in the chat. Next week is the penultimate episode. I think this was the good. I think this was a good episode. I think this was the good setup episode, though. It's like there's been some setup episodes, but I think now I think from start to finish each episode now, we're gonna be on a roller coaster of madness, and we're gonna get some good stuff like Monica's powers, Vision's come to hopefully save the day. Wanda's finding out stuff. We know Agatha's Agatha, and then Evan Peters, what's the deal with him? So we got lots. I think next we got some answers this week. We're gonna get even more. So, ladies and gentlemen, just go down the link below and you can find everything, all the information. Thank you very much for tuning in. And when you hear from us next week, it'll not be boring.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.